already have, so I already
Oh,
installed it as well.
okay, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so then I think we'll go ahead. I'm going to log in with the super admin, whatever you can call it, which administrator@pet.com, and install is going to be my password. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just close this.
The version will be working is 8.5, right?
Right, yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So let me log in. Okay. In the meanwhile, while it loads, so each studio is divided into 4 parts, right? Each studio
Okay.
is divided into 4 parts. So the top portion where you see the studio and where you see the application that it is pointing to is called the header area. Right? So you might have been aware of this, but just reiterating the terminologies. Okay. So the header area on where you get to see the application, then your configure, launch portals, search. So all that is part of the header area. Right? And on the left side, where you can explore things, it could be case types, data types, records, favorites. Right? So this left side is called your Explorer panel. Right? So what is it called? It's called the Explorer panel. Let me just okay. So the top portion is your header area, whereas the left is your Explorer panel. Right? And then what is this called? The bottom part where you see issues, trace. Exactly. So it's your developer toolbar. Okay. And the major portion of the screen where you actually work is your work area. Right. So it's your work area. Right. Your header, Explorer panel, developer toolbar, and work area. Now, you expect these things to be same across all the studios? Would it be the same? So is it like
I think so. It will be same.
Header area would be same across all the studios?
No, it will be different because we'll need to
Right.
have different sort of things on different studios.
Exactly. So talking about developer toolbar, so would it be same across all the studios? Definitely not. So when it's on the dev studio, like I will have the highest privileges of debugging things or looking at some issues. But when it comes to app studio, I don't need my BA to work on issues, or I don't need my BA to debug things, right? So according to the studio, the entities on these areas might differ, right? And probably that's the whole purpose of having different studios for different people, right? So yes, we cannot expect the things to be same across all the studios. They are respective to the studio. So when you look at developer toolbar, I will have only limited set of actions available on the app studio. Right? Yes. Okay, so then let us go ahead and we will try to create our first Pega application. Seems like this is still loading. Maybe I'll just reload the instance once. Are you able to see the studio, the dev studio here?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Seems like this is taking time.
So while we'll be developing this application, we'll be using the same application for all the concepts, right?
Right, yes, yes. Okay, all right. Now seems like it is fine now. So where do we start the application creation with? How do we start that? Any guesses?
The path you're asking, right?
Right, right.
So we can click on the application
Right, yes.
on Pega platform.
Menu.
New
Right,
application.
Perfect. Yes. So this is your new application creation wizard. So we use this term called wizard a lot in Pega, because wizard is like a step-by-step process of achieving something. Okay. So this is a new application creation wizard. There are a lot of other wizards as well, right? Like for skimming, there is a wizard, and then there is one for optimizing a property, there is a wizard. Then for your localization, there is a wizard. Likewise, we have multiple wizards for different requirements, right? So wizard is something which involves some set of steps and an outcome is involved there. Okay? So as part of a new application creation wizard, the system is asking what kind of application you would like to build. Okay. So we have two types here. One is classic, the other one is Cosmos. So classic involves the conventional UI kit. I mean, here the difference is the user experience, right? How would the UI be? Would you like to go with an advanced bit of UI? You can go with Cosmos, right? If you would like to go with the conventional UI kit, which Pega has been using from a lot of years, then you can go for the classic. Okay, so the only difference is the user experience part here. Okay, so first we'll build the classic type, then we'll come back to the Cosmos. Okay, so let me select the classic. And as I chose classic here, I don't have any predefined templates available. So this is just like a plain sheet of paper. I don't have anything just directly available on it for reusability. Okay. So like I said, no predefined case types or data types. Nothing is already available. So everything has to be built from scratch. And when I say that, I can still reuse the basic OOTB features provided by the platform. Those are still intact for me, right? The basic Pega rules application is still available for me. I can reuse things from there. But just by using classic, I don't get to see any predefined templates available. Okay, let me go with this application type. Okay, so what kind of application are we going to build? Okay, so let's take an example of probably let's take an HR services application. Okay, and before clicking on create, the most important thing is your advanced configuration. Okay, where you decide what kind of application you're going to build, for whom are you going to build, what is your class structures. All that is part of the advanced configuration. Okay, the first thing is the application settings, where you decide the type of the application structure, whether you want it to be framework or you want that to be implementation. Now, how do I decide this? On what basis can I decide framework or implementation? Any guesses?
So if we want to reuse the code somewhere, we'll make it a framework. And if we have to customize it for some specific thing, we'll go for implementation.
Exactly. Perfect. So framework is when you talk about reusability, right? So one of the capabilities of Pega platform is extensible applications, which means using this platform, you can create your own frameworks. Okay. What is a framework? Framework is nothing but a set of code, a set of rules that is available. And if required, I can reuse it. Okay? Someone has already built it and I can just reuse it. Okay? So you can decide whether is there a scope of reusability for your application. If yes, go for the framework type. Okay? Otherwise, when if it's customized entirely for a specific requirement, you can go for the implementation. Okay? Good. So let me define my application ID. Let it be HRS, which is the unique identifier for your application. Good. Then I have a version O1, O1, O1. Now what is it? Why do I have 3 versions here? What is this O1, O1, O1?
So the first one is for the major, if we have any major enhancements in our application. The
Right.
second one is for the minor enhancements, and the last one is for any if we have any bugs or.
Now O1, O1, O1. Can I use this? Something like 21, 31, and 41? Can I? Instead of O1, O1, O1?
No, we should go in sequence.
We should go in a sequence, but the system is not stopping me if I use this, right? The system is not throwing an error, it's not stopping me. But the problem is, if I show this to a regular Pega developer, what would they understand is 20 major versions of the application have been released and you are on the 21st version now. Okay? Whereas 30 major minor versions have been released and you are on the 31st. Similarly, 40 patch have been released and you're on the 41st version now. That's how they would interpret this, right? So it's always a best practice to start with one over O. Okay, so this is part of the best practice to start your application. Now, if you show this to someone, yes, they would understand that this is the very first version of the application. Right. So then the organization settings. Now, Pega's Enterprise Edition is not free of cost, right? You have to get it or you have to purchase it by getting a license, right? You have to pay for it. Now, the whole of this thing you paid for the license, then you are developing an application and all. Would you do it for an individual? Is
No.
it something like, Nayan wanted this, so I'm building the entire application for her? No. It has to be for an organization, right? It's always a business to business kind of scenario, not a business to individual or not a business to customer scenario here. So always Pega application involves organization structures. Okay. Now, which organization are you building this application for? I'll just name it some XYZ organization. Right? Yes. Now, within the organization, you might have different departments, right? Like there could be IT, admin, then HR, finance. So division and unit are like the sub aspects of your organization. For example, if HR is my division, within HR, I can have multiple, different subdivisions. As in like HR employee engagement could be there, HR onboarding could be there, or HR recruitment, HR resignation. So different teams in HR could be there, right? HR employee engagement could be my unit. Okay, so your divisional unit could be functional aspects, or they can also be geographic locations. Okay, something like this. Or it can be a combination of both, depending upon what or where you're targeting this application. Okay, they can be functional aspects or they can be geographic locations. Right? Yes. Now,
Yes.
on this basis, we will have class structure being defined. Okay, your class structure is a combination of application settings and organization settings put together. So here is my organization, here is my application. Right.
Sneha, one
Now,
question here.
yeah.
So are you explaining the class group name? Because I have the least idea about this class group name.
Yes. We will talk about class group, but once the application is created. Right? So this class group is where, this is like the parent class where your case types would be defined. So if required, I can also change this class group name, but as a best practice, we will always go with the work only. As a best practice, again, just like how we go with O1, 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 similarly, it is work. But if required, I can change it, definitely. I can. But generally, as your case types are work types, we suggest that you use the name as work here. Okay? Because this is where your business transactions are defined, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So looking at the class structure, I can identify that this is a framework application because I see an FW here. It represents that this application or this class structure is related to a framework application, right? Yes, it seems like everything looks good. HRS version, organization looks good. So let me save it. And we'll create the application. Okay. As you know, creation of this application means creation of a lot of
Sneha, I cannot hear you. Hello, Sneha. Hello, Sneha, you there?
And am I audible?
Yes, Neha, now you're audible.
Okay. Seems like I've lost for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to hear you till the time you said that a lot of background processing is going on when we are creating a new application.
Maybe I'll just rejoin the meeting once again.
Okay.
Yeah. Presenter so that I can share the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Now I can.
Yes.
Framework application is created. What we'll do is we'll create some case types. Okay. And we will try
Okay.
to them in another application. I mean, we'll also create an implementation application. We'll see how the reusability is coming into picture. Okay, so that's what we'll do for today. And then from tomorrow, we'll jump on to the topics.
Okay. So when we click on this create application, what all things are created in the background?
So one thing is your application development rule. Then you will have the organization division units. You will have a set of access groups created, right? Then you will have some access roles created as well. Then your rule sets, yes. Then sets. Then your application int rule sets. Then few work queues, work groups. So all these things would be created by default. So earlier we used to create these manually. So this wizard
So,
has made it a lot more easier now.
so before 8 version, we used to create it manually.
Right. Before 8, yes. So I mean, even in 7.2, starting from 7.2, I think we got this wizard available. So it's like in 6 versions, it used to be a manual effort.
Okay.
Right, okay. Yes, let me create the application. Okay, so once the application is created, we'll create some operators as well. So we can either create an admin or an author. So let's create a couple of operators, and once we log in into the application, we can create more operators.
Okay.
And probably the next step we would be doing is creating some business transactions, defining your case types and defining a life cycle for it, right? Okay. So in HR
Okay.
services, what do you think would be the business transactions involved for a typical?
Then
Okay.
resume screening will be there.
Okay.
Then then there'll be a technical interview round.
Okay.
No, sorry, we are doing it for
You're
HR
telling in the
services, right?
right, correct. You're telling in the events, correct? But when it comes to an end-to-end transaction, so what could be the end-to-end transactions on the HR services?
Um,
Yes, what you said was, taking up the exams, the interview, and all. But when you look at the big picture, what is that whole transaction called?
it's entire life cycle, actually, case life cycle we have.
Right, right. So the case life
So,
cycle is for recruitment, isn't it?
yeah,
Yes. So recruitment is one transaction that happens on the HR services. And it
HR
involves all
services.
those things that you have mentioned. It starts with collecting the profiles, then written test, interviews, and then finally releasing the offer and onboarding. So probably that could be an
Yes.
end-to-end transaction. Then what else could be there?
The resignation process can also come under the HR services. Then to plan out the activities regarding, um, say, suppose we have something to update in our personal profile. So for a
Okay,
company, if
okay,
I'm the employee and if I have to update some changes in my profile, so for that
okay,
we
okay.
have to involve. Or if I have to
Right.
take up some course or training, then we have to involve the HRs for the process to get the
Agreed,
approvals.
agreed, agreed. Yes, yes. Then your um, leave management, right? You would apply for the leave, it goes to the manager. Then if it's more than a certain number, it goes to the HR. Then it can go back and forth. And then finally your leave is either approved or rejected. So yes, that's a transaction. Then your
Yes.
appraisal cycles, annual appraisal cycles could be a transaction from the HR, right? So likewise, it depends upon the requirement as in like how you are designing your case life cycle. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So once this is created, we'll jump into the earlier window also. The save took a lot of time.
Yeah. Sneha, one question. So, if I